happy Monday. We are once again live from the Flamingo Room.
Fabulous Las Vegas. It's the Flamingo Room.
We're back down in sunny Florida, and I don't know about
Fort Lauderdale. Where are you in Florida?
Tampa.
Tampa.
I don't know if it's the same. I know you're in Eastern area. I don't know if the weather there's like, it's just that part of winter where you just get snow like every day, but it's just like half an inch, 20-degree winds, gloomy every day. Like it takes such a toll.
Ice. We got a lot of ice, bud.
Yeah, we got like some snow than ice. So it's nice. Bring the family down here. I can work from here, so everybody it's kind of win-win.
Kind of win-win. We had a sort of fun weekend. How about those Bills last night?
I gotta stop ending the weekend with theatrics and drama though, because we were gonna do a show yesterday morning, and it was my son's birthday, so we were dealing with that and had a bunch of people over. Early flight this morning, so it was kind of like the show got pushed to this afternoon instead of doing it super early yesterday. And then of course I quipped something out on Twitter real quick, and it's 6 hours of back and forth. And all I did was, it's like, and part of it's on me. Part of it's on me because, like, as I get a bigger audience, that comes with more scrutiny. So,
who gives a shit?
No. What I'm saying is, I can't complain about pushback or like if you put something out there, like if I like. So I guess we'll just talk about it. The Penn State duel yesterday, Penn State Maryland. The announcers were not good. And like 4 or 5 matches in, I basically just tweeted real quick, didn't think about it. I'm like, these announcers got to go. It wasn't like a death threat towards these people, but some people took it that way. And I got 6 hours nonstop of just, and people like Shane Sparks and Christian Piles and people with like bigger audiences, when they chime in, it kind of just reignites it every time. So I didn't intend to have this drama.
Did it go on that long? I honestly didn't think it went on that long. Like I didn't pay attention to it really, but I saw that there was like drama and shit, right? But I didn't know how. I wasn't aware. I mean, I saw Sparks jump in.
Sparks got mad at me right away. He got mad at me right away, and then
if people didn't hear. Like, this is what we're talking about. Sometimes Big Ten pluses specifically will use student broadcasters, aspiring broadcasters, announcers that want to get into media, and they're not good. And separately, I didn't even know that you tweeted what you tweeted. I tweeted these announcers for Penn State, Maryland, ... right? Because they were crazy. Like, they were saying tech fall points when they meant like back points and like step out of the ring, so they just weren't prepared. And so I tweeted it. I think other people tweeted it. Basch tweeted it. And, Shane Sparks was defending them. Piles went his typical douchebag self, and Shane, I know you haven't been watching wrestling for a long time. What does that have to do? Listen, if I turn on a basketball game and they're talking about a 6-point shot and stepping out of the ring, it doesn't take a lifelong whatever.
But the thing that annoyed me the most about Piles' tweet was him saying, I know you haven't been watching long, but over the last 10 years, it's like, dude, I remember vaguely when you got hired at Flow, because that's like when I started, like, I told the story that these guys became clients like 2009, 2010. I started following intently. Like, I've been paying attention to the sport just as intently as he has for the last 10 to 15 years. I haven't had a podcast until the last 5, but again, like you're saying, like, watching the duel, it was stuff. And again, I said it like I'd say something in a living room, but it wasn't like, oh my God, these kids are the worst humans. It was like,
and
like,
tone definitely gets lost.
Correct.
Twitter,
it does. And I talked to not the kid who did the commentary, but I end up talking to the kid Luke who was doing the color commentary. He's just a super nice kid. He's like a freshman. Luke Stefanascio, something like that. So, he said this is only his third duel. And I was talking to him. He was like asking for feedback and this and that. And it's like, he's a super nice kid. And I wasn't trying to like throw these kids under the bus. My point with it was that, like, so the final straw, I was kind of laughing the first couple matches, like, whatever, it's just some students having fun. And then I probably just, after misspeak, it's like, here's when I tweeted it. Shane Van Ness is up 12-2. He almost pins the kid, and then so he gets 4 near fall, and he has a riding time point. The announcer says Shane Van Ness won't get the pin, but he'll get the major. He wins 12-2. And then the color commentator, I think Luke, like a minute later, was like, well, he actually got 4 near fall, and he had riding time, so it's actually a tech 17-2. And it's like, listen, and I think Shane Sparks got mad at me because I get it. You should be like encouraging people, and I get all of that. I get that too. And like I get where Shane's coming from at the core. My problem, and I probably should have honed in on this, but again, I didn't think anybody would even care that I tweeted it. If you would have watched one full wrestling duel before that, I don't think you make as nearly as many of the mistakes. And I was talking to the kid Luke, and I'm like, Luke, like, I'm not even, no matter what you do with commentary, you're often going to have people that love you and people that hate you. Shane Sparks is a great example. A lot of people love him. A lot of people don't like him. You're going to have that with styles of commentary. My thing was more like just the accuracy, like knowing the actual fundamentals.
First things first. Well, the thing, I get that Shane, A, is sort of like defending his Big Ten turf, right? His Big Ten network turf. And 2, he's saying don't be so negative and encourage guys. However, the reason that Shane is who he is, his import to wrestling, is that he's a good broadcaster. He's a broadcaster. That's what he is, right? So I don't think you can say, like, who cares if they're bad when Shane, that's what you bring to the table. I get if Team A and Team B are wrestling and I know Shane and Gibbons are on, I'm pumped because I know they're going to do a good job. I'm a little more excited about it because I know those 2 guys are on. And so good announcing enhances, it goes without saying, whether it's football, basketball, wrestling, good announcing enhances the experience.
Absolutely.
And gives you accuracy, to put it mildly. And so I understood Shane defending them, but also like, Shane, come on, man. You know that having a good announcing team is that's what makes you valuable. That's what it elevates the viewership. And so that's all I was like. That's all I had. That's that's the totality of my beef with Shane in that regard. But I don't know. And the thing that gets me with to me, it was Pyle's just either, I don't know. Pyle's comment was so bizarre. Like, here's the thing. Big Ten Network, they do a lot of broadcasts and they do it at scale. And to do it at scale, what the fuck are you talking about? First of all, you're not like a business guy. Like, get over yourself. To do it at scale has nothing to do with scale. Okay, they're announcing a freaking wrestling match. There's several options to get good broadcasters on. One, you could pipe in Jeff Byers. You could find a local guy that knows what he's talking about. It's Penn State, right? You can find somebody to go to a duel. It's Maryland, whatever. There's people in the Northeast that would happily announce a duel for you. So it has nothing to do with scale and availability. What it really is it's a failure. You call these guys, they're student broadcasters. They're aspiring journalists. okay, if is that's their major? They're in a program? They're in a department for that? Okay, then how about you do a 1 hour pre-production prep? You guys set these kids up for failure. I mean, you smacked them on the ass and said, "Get in there, bud. Get in there, bud." And they're calling, "You stepped out of the ring." So it has nothing to do with scale and everything to do with being prepared.
That was exactly where my issue was. And I know Shane has worked. Shane, if you haven't listened to him on Baschamania, he came on a couple years ago with Chenzo and I, told his whole backstory. It's an incredible story about how hard he's worked to get where he's at. And Shane's issue was saying he's got to go, give these guys a shot. Shane, I don't disagree at all. My beef was exactly what you just said, Willie. If it's like this kid's an aspiring commentator, then he failed to prep. And that's the extent of it. There doesn't
and his department, his professors, his program failed him in that.
Correct. And that's the other issue to this is for me, it's less about the actual commentator here. It's like, you don't know if these guys are aspiring wrestling broadcasters, if they really want to do football or golf, but this is what they're assigned. And, that's why I was asking Amin about it, who does a lot of commentary for BTN on the side. And I was trying to understand a little bit, because it was Malik Amin, who wrestled for Michigan, obviously. And we were talking about it, and it's like, it's not just the commentator here. And I texted Nick Lee during it, and I said, "Nick, do you have any say on this? I truly want to understand. I'm not trying to throw this guy under the bus. And people rip me because I said, a casual fan tuning in. And then, of course, it's, oh, come on, Bash, no casual fans watching. Who cares?"
Yeah, it's almost, but the whole thing is almost stupid. I mean, the level of incompetence and the level of stupidity to just roll a guy in there with no experience. He doesn't know. And listen, again, it's not football and basketball. It's wrestling's nuanced. There's 3-point takedowns. There's near fall and what the criteria, and there's riding time, and there's all kinds of different rules. I mean, it's not part of your daily vernacular like a touchdown is, or 3 balls and 2 strikes. I mean, everybody knows this stuff. Nobody knows neutral danger rule, right? And somebody should have been aware of that. It's total incompetence and to put kids out there that don't know what they're doing. Look at other BTN Plus. Nebraska gets a guy that writes about wrestling to jump on the call, right? Illinois gets guys that know what they're talking about. They're not professional guys, but they know the sport, they know the personnel, they know the backstory, they know the rules. It's not hard to find the Big Ten programs are wrestling programs. They're in wrestling country. It is not hard to find knowledgeable announcers. And if you go, well, we want to give the student announcers a shot, okay, then prep them.
100% agree.
The whole thing's incompetent. It's all the way around. And to make excuses otherwise, they're just excuses.
Yeah, and it's like,
another thing too is you can't have a paid product, a subscription service, and then when it's not good and there's criticism, you say, "Oh, well, they're just doing their best. Oh, well, it's a scale issue. Oh, it's a scale issue? Well, then don't charge for it. You can't provide a good product, then don't charge for it. Either accept the criticism and change, or make it free, right? I don't know. And part of what really gets me up and like the thing that rubs me the wrong way about the whole thing, about like I log on to BTN Plus, and in the first 30 seconds, I'm hearing these kids obviously don't know what they're talking about. And to me, who is very protective and very proud of wrestling, it's just a neon light that says, we don't care about this. This doesn't matter to us. I said the same thing about the announcers at the ranking series. I mean, UWW they don't even have announcers for cadet and junior worlds. Like, what are you doing? I mean, to me, it just screams amateur hour. We don't care. We're not even willing to invest in this. And when the solutions are way, way simple, you know? And so, to me, I get defensive that you're making money off a product that you don't even give a shit about. You make us look stupid.
Yeah, and it's like one of the responses, because there was a lot of people who agreed with me, and it's like one of the responses was, it's a good sign if we have people caring enough about wrestling that they're upset with commentary. And it's like, and I said that my response to Piles, it's like, you can have gratitude for advances. I'm very happy that flows around and I can watch basically anybody I want at any time you can pretty much find. And so I'm very happy for it. At the same time, it doesn't mean there's not criticism. It's a paid service. You can argue the merits of casual fans or not. You can argue, hey, I'm just happy I can watch it. Great. I don't know. I think overall, do those factors really come into play as to why you're backing up a poor performance? Listen, here's the other kicker. I've done 271 episodes now of this podcast, many with you. Every single one has been available for free. And the amount of complaints and criticism I've gotten over the last 5 years, it comes with the territory. I'm putting out a public product. And even though it's free, I have people complaining. I have people critiquing. And guess what? Some of it is helpful. Over the years, people have complained or critiqued certain elements, and I appreciate that. Certainly, sometimes it sucks when the negativity is louder than praise, but it comes with the territory.
Criticism increases the pressure to perform, right? Criticism increases the want and the drive to get it right. Like when I do live broadcasts, and it's not always clean. It's a hectic disaster, and I just sort of cross my fingers that things go well, and like 90% of the time it does, but there's also hiccup. Like 2 weeks ago at a St. Ed's duel, a wrestler ran through the cord, broke the cord, stream dropped, had to get it back up, right? I mean, and that's my fault. I should make sure things are more secure, better, but Flo doesn't think that way. The Flo, as long as the Flo wants to remove the criticism, if they can make a buck selling popsicles, they'd pivot to that.
And again, like in summation, this was a lack of prep, and I called them out for it. If you don't like it, so be it. But nobody's talking about students shouldn't do this. Nobody's saying this, and that. Listen, he did not prep for it. It was very obvious. It is what it is. Nobody's crucifying him. Like it's.
No, I don't think the kids are bad kids for it. I think the department's bad for not preparing them.
Correct. Like there's just a system, and look at not for nothing. I didn't really want to deal with the aggravation all night of keep seeing these tweets, but look, I did talk to the kid Luke, and he was asking. He sent me a duel he did. Said this is only his third one, and he wants a good experience, and if I can get him feedback, he'd love it. Like I think these are good kids. It's just if I'm sitting down and I'm watching a paid product, and then I get hate just for saying that something wasn't good, it's crazy.
Yeah, why wasn't there student announcers on the Super Bowl? Because it's important. Is that why? Is that what the difference is? The Super Bowl is important, but this duel isn't. I mean, you just tell us that it's not important.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I'm done responding to these people. That's one thing that annoys me about Twitter, and it's good for views and stuff. But
not me. Twitter's life. I love it.
No, what I'm saying is when you have something like that at some point, like I get in the trenches and I'm responding to people I probably shouldn't be for an hour. And then, you get the side text like, dude, why are you letting people get to you? And then it's like, okay, whatever, I'm over it. And then 3 hours later, Piles jumps in. And then this morning, this guy. Because the way the Twitter algorithm works, where it's like, if a tweet is getting engagement, it shows up. The absolute worst part of Twitter is live sports tweets that you'll see randomly. Like all day today, I'm randomly seeing Super Bowl like live tweets. They got to be able to figure out how to filter that out somehow.
Yeah. I think I probably argued and pissed off everybody in wrestling at least once. I mean, my opinion is my opinion, and you should be the same way. Your opinion should be your opinion, and if they want to get upset about it, we'll work it out. I mean, it'll all work out. I don't know.
And again, my goal is like I try to be positive. I don't, I had a couple people. I had one guy tell me all you do is complain. Well, I blocked him and unblocked him because then he stops following me. So good. If all you think I do is complain, you no longer follow me. It's like that. That's the other thing I don't understand is some of these miserable pricks who follow me just to like say negative stuff. It's like, why do you even bother? Are you that miserable and bored as a human?
I know. I used to block people. Like, just you're getting on my nerves. You're distracting me. I don't care what you have to say because I mean, I like feedback, but some of them get to be obviously like they're just gonna. If I say left, you're gonna say right. So I'm done with you, right?
If I block you, it's because
but now
you said,
I don't block anybody anymore. Say what you want. I just ignore it.
If somebody just keeps going multiple times and this and that, I'll just end up blocking them because I'm sick of seeing them in my notifications. As I'm going through stuff, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm over you.
All right, let's get into some wrestling, huh?
Yeah, let's talk some wrestling.
Okay, so first, your boy Terrell Barraclough on Thursday night did it again. He had a close, late win over Peyton Hall. Another notch on his belt, Terrell Barraclough.
Dude, how awesome is that, too, that was in his high school gym?
Oh, was it? I didn't even realize.
Yeah. What an awesome... it reminds me when...
I knew it was in high school gym. I didn't know it was his.
Yeah, it was his high school.
Terrell Barraclough, now 21-1 on the year. His only loss was a 10-5 decision to Jack Thompson at Cliff Keen.
Yeah.
But he's beat Peyton Hall. He's beaten Brock Mantanona, Hunter Garvin. Maybe Hunter Garvin twice. No, just once. No, Hunter Garvin twice. Yeah. Beat Cam Amin. So great year, great story.
And the one time he lost, he came back and won like 5 or 6 straight to take third. And he beat a bunch of guys in the backside. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Cliff Keen. That was Thursday night. Friday night, the big one was Iowa, Nebraska. Iowa 19-16 final score. Really fun duel.
Doesn't Clovis Buchanan have the trademark for the big one?
Yeah.
You know that's the big one.
That's the big one.
But yeah, Iowa, Nebraska. That was a fun one.
Tight. We started at 125. It was tight in the early goings. Not a whole lot of points. Caleb Smith 2-1 on a riding time point over Joey Cruz. Drake Ayala 4-2 over Jacob Van D. Brock Hardy did put up some points. 14-3 over Cullen Shriver. Then another tight one. Kyle Parko, Ridge Lovett. Third period takedown. Kyle Parko picked neutral going to the third. I like what Tom Brands had to say afterwards. He said we went double up. Let's go winning on our feet, and Kyle Parko did just that. Ridge has an escape point heading into the third, so it's 1-0. Parko goes double ups, and it was really interesting to me. Ridge is a guy, like, he's really good upper body. I mean, he won Greco several times, or made the finals several times in Fargo. He's really good up there. But it was Parko with the underhooks, like, really getting Ridge uncomfortable. And then double unders in the third period, outside trip, got Ridge off balance, and he got the takedown. Ridge gets out 3-2, 3-2 final. Great win for Kyle Parko. Now, I'm working on I'm working on projected seeds for Big Tens. Only a week or two left, and the picture's becoming clear at a lot of spots. At least generally, I'm going to have them out tomorrow, and you're going to be able to see because I list what the wins and losses are and who they have left in the season, and so you can see ballpark where they're going to be at and where they could improve. This guy's 5 and this guy's 7, but they wrestle next week, and that, so things could change there, right? Well, one of the ones that's a little fuzzy is a top of 157, but Parko's win over Lovett. If Lovett won that match, Lovett's clearly the 1 seed, but if Parko wins, then it's a 3-headed monster with Van Ness, Parko, Lovett, and the way I have it now, I have Van Ness the 1, Parker the 2, and Lovett the 3, and that's only because of the timeline. It's the most recent logic, the most recent order, right?
We never did a crystal ball update, but you had Lovett 1, Henson 2, Van Ness 3, Parko 4. After these past 2 weeks, what do you think your 1, 2, 3, 4 would be now? Because you had Lovett beat Van Ness, you had Parko beat Lovett. Parko now 3-0 against Lovett.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I mean, knee jerk. I think I put Henson back to 1.
Yeah, Henson's getting a lot of praise lately. It's just funny. It's funny that Parko has, or Van Ness has Parko's number, and then Parko has Lovett's number, and Lovett's 1-0 against Van Ness.
Yeah. And Henson Lovett is 2-1 Henson, I believe. But Henson won the last 2.
In overtime.
That's a tough one, but it's tough one, but it's sort of clearish at the top.
Those two, Lovett and Henson. I mean, they're as close as you can get. Their last win was an overtime win. The match before that was a 1-0 win, and the match before that was a 1-0 win. The match before that went the other way with Henson winning 4-3. So overtime, 1 point to decide those 3 matches.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always been close. And so there's clearly a tier there. Antrell Taylor over Miguel Estrada 4-2, another close one. So other than Hardy, who scored 14, 25 had 0 takedowns, 33 had 1, 49 had 1, 57 had 1. So there wasn't a whole lot of scoring.
No, I got a question though for you at that 57 weight, and this obviously ties back in because you just mentioned Big Ten pre-seeds. Now I'm curious. I had said that I thought it would be Ethan Miller the 1, Kasich the 2, Teamer the 3, Taylor the 4. But people were questioning Teamer with having such few matches, and Antrell Taylor he's only got 2 losses, one's to Ryder Downey outside the Big Ten. Do you think that I think Taylor should be the 3. I think you reward Taylor for showing up when Teamer.
Oh, Taylor's 100% seated ahead of Teamer.
You think he's the 3 and then Teamer would be the 4?
Oh, no. Teamer has a head-to-head over him, right?
Yes. No. Not this year.
No. Who did Teamer beat good? What's Teamer's best win?
Doesn't have one this year.
Doesn't have one. No, yeah, Antrell should be higher than Teamer. There's a couple situations like that where
his official record is 3-2.
Teamer literally. Oh, Sasso. I was thinking Sasso was his best win.
Yeah.
But Teamer 3-2, right? 3-2 on the year. His record in the Big Ten. Because how they do it, too, is record. So they vote on it. The coaches vote on it. That's how they see the Big Ten. And one thing that they send it, they send out all the information. It's record against the entries, right? So like you might have wrestled and beat the guy from Michigan State. You might have wrestled and beat the guy from Penn State, but that doesn't really count because if they wrestled Kyson Garcia instead of Braden Davis, right?
How do you think that factors in then when you have like Ethan Miller versus Kasich, where Miller has the win, but you're gonna have people say, well, he didn't really beat Kasich, but he did, he showed up and he got his hand raised. So to a degree, you got to reward that.
Yeah, I think they will keep that in the back of their mind. Well, first, let me get to this. Like Teamer's 3-2 overall, and he's 1-1 in conference. Braden Davis is 7-2 and 1-1 against Big Ten starters. Right? I don't know how the hell they're going to do that. And I'm writing this up, the projections for Big Ten seeds, and like I'm giving it 133. I'm giving it my best shot, but who the hell knows how they're going to weigh Braden Davis, who's 7-2 and 1-1 in conferences, but one of those wins was over. He hasn't lost to Shawver. No, he beat Shawver, but hasn't lost to Van D. Van D's lost to a bunch of people, including Zan Fugit, right? So it's going to be how they vote, and I it's hard to anticipate how they vote and how they see that and how much they value or discredit. Hey, look, you're only 1-1 in conference, right? How hard are they going to penalize you for that? How hard are they going to penalize? I don't know. Somebody that missed, like the teamer didn't wrestle Cal Miller or Ethan Miller.
So like honestly, Antrell Taylor. Then if you're talking about like in conference, I mean Antrell Taylor's beaten Chase Saldate twice. He's beat Tommy Askey in OT. He beat Miguel Estrada. His only loss is to Tyler Kasich.
Yeah, I don't see how they could possibly.
Only loss in the Big Ten. He lost to Ryder Downey in OT.
I don't see how they could possibly seed Teamer over Antrell when, number one, Antrell took the mat, right? And this, I'm not picking on Iowa. This isn't a Nebraska-Iowa thing. This goes for a bunch of situations, including Braden Davis, who's in a bit of a pickle, seed-wise, anyway. I don't see how you take...
No, I think you're right.
Teamer. The only way that they could take Teamer over Antrell is to say, well, he's a 3-time All-American or something. Something that does not pertain to this season.
But I don't think... And again, we can do a whole show if you want, just on Big Ten pre-seeds. But if you're an Iowa fan, don't you kind of want the 4?
What would it be? It would be
him and Ethan Miller. And then if Kasich's back, Kasich's on the bottom side. I think if you're an Iowa fan, you want the 4.
Right now, it would be Ethan Miller. Ethan Miller's definitely getting a 1.
Correct.
It would be Ethan Miller, Ty Kasich, Antrell, and then Teamer. Now, Antrell with the caveat that he has Joey Blaze coming up.
Yeah, but, I mean, how healthy is Blaze? Blaze didn't wrestle this weekend, did he?
Well, that's a question. There's a lot of those, too. There's a lot of those.
By the way, I know you guys don't do too many shows anymore, which I'm kind of glad because now we get to do a lot of shows, but Corby is, like, his wrestling brain. He's one of my guys I like talking to about, like, betting on wrestling. Because he has been
whatchamacallit lately.
He's lights out.
He has been all over wrestling message boards in, like, the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, but so we were talking, it's been fun trying to, like, change up with wrestling betting lines and kind of betting, like, once you know the lineup or who you think is going to be out. And, like, Purdue, Minnesota was, like, a 30-point line. And obviously, Joey Blaze not wrestling was a worthy note for yesterday's duel. So I started looking into Blaze. But yeah, who knows how healthy Blaze is? But yeah, 100%. All these pre-seeds too are subjective to winning out their next like two or three duels. I think most only have like 2 left.
Yeah, there's some guys in doing the research for this projected seeds. There's some guys that have like monster. Like, what is Braden? Braden Davis is like banged up, kinda, but also
Yeah,
not
like
banged up.
he wrestled Friday. He didn't wrestle Sunday. He's just I think his knee's been a
But
little tweaked.
but we're coming down to the final couple duels, and some people, some highly regarded, highly ranked guys, they'll have like it's a gimme, right? They're wrestling somebody from Michigan State that's not very good, right? And that's the case for most people. Is like they have one more match left and it's not very tough. And Braden Davis, who may or may not be wrestling, I don't know, but he has Buzakis and Bird still to go. There's a couple guys, there's a couple people in here that have like, well, they only got 2 matches left, but they're 2 big matches for seeding purposes.
100%.
Davis is 1. 41. I'm only halfway through it, but we'll see. D'Amelio, Shane Van Ness has D'Amelio and Webster. All right, where are we? So we're halfway through the Nebraska Iowa duel. Not a lot of points on the board. Halftime, because we started at 125. It is and like when Ridge loses, it kind of took the air out of the balloon. You thought that, okay, if Ridge lost, this duel's definitely over. It didn't really turn out that way. It was a deciding factor, but Nebraska made it interesting. Caliendo only decision. Chris Minto 5-1. I thought this would be like major decision territory. Minto is really crafty and he's really sticky, and like you think you have him taken down, and then he passes a leg and tries to come up the middle, and he's getting really good with that. It'll be interesting if Minto needs to develop his own offense, because right now he's a counter guy. Generally good on top, but didn't really come into play this match. But what's interesting was like Minto damn near scored. He probably should have scored if he would have controlled that far hip instead of going. I don't know what he did, but he had an opportunity there. It would have been the first takedown. But Caliendo's clearly better than Minto right now. But the threat of Minto's counters, I think, slowed Caliendo down a little bit and said, hold on a second here. I'm not going to – it started getting Caliendo thinking. I'm pretty sure to anybody watching, it was visible that Caliendo was being a little bit cautious because of that. So it was a 5-1 Caliendo win. And then after really, really low-scoring matches, Lenny Pinto and Patrick Kennedy come off and blow the roof off the building.
What a barn burner.
Pinto with a 7-pointer, then Pinto with another takedown, then Kennedy with a 7-pointer, and I think it was 18-10? Or no.
Well, it was 11-9 after the first period.
Okay, 11-9 after the first period, or 10-9 or something like that, 10-8 or something. And
11-9, I think.
So then it looks like Pinto is feeling it. It looks like he's gassing a little bit. And Pinto damn near had him pinned in the first exchange. And he's like, you're like, maybe Lenny, he's gassing. Here comes the carver. He's going to get carvered, kind of. And like, Kennedy's going to do the classic Iowa gas him out. and the pace really slowed, and Kennedy rode him for a good bit, and it's really within the margins. There was 2 matches. Was it Caliendo Minto? Yeah, there were 2 matches here back to back where it was a 1 takedown match, but then it was almost a major, because Caliendo almost had a takedown at the end of his with Minto, and then Pinto and Kennedy is really close on the scoreboard, and then Pinto drives through a takedown and he almost gets a major. So it ends up being 18-11, big momentum shift for Nebraska, who, they probably they needed Ridge to win, and they probably needed to sweep 74 and 84, and Pinto gives them a little bit of life. Then Silas Allred, Gabe Arnold, and it was really interesting that I've never seen anybody get to Gabe Arnold's legs as much as Silas did. And I was arguing with people on the Hawk boards, or one person on the Hawk board is like, because I said, man, I never seen. I think it was a goofy match for. I don't know if Gabe was 100%. I mean, nobody ever gets to his legs, and they were like, "Oh, this is 3 matches in a row now that Gabe hasn't looked right." And I'm like, "Nah, that's not true." Like, you can say that Gabe is risk averse. You can say that he doesn't fire off a lot of shots, but what you cannot say is that Gabe allowed. It hasn't been 3 matches in a row that people have gotten to Gabe Arnold's legs, because they don't do it. And Silas did it, and he was close to scoring on a lot of exchanges. But it's sort of similar to the Kennedy Pinto match, where you were like, okay, Pinto went up big, but Kennedy's going to chase him down. In Silas match, it was like, okay, Silas has been in on 1,000,000 shots, but Gabe's going to get 1, and that's going to be it. But it didn't. Silas ultimately gets 1 in overtime, and Nebraska did what I didn't think they were going to do. I mean, I picked Kennedy and Arnold, and it was Pinto and Allred. So to couple those wins back to back was big for Nebraska. However, you knew they were going to have trouble at 97 in heavyweight.
Yeah.
So Buchanan comes out, and then he really had a strong third period to end it over Cam McDaniel. But then it still comes down to heavyweight. Now, Keeter's a heavy favorite. I thought that Harley going into the match, I thought Harley could wrestle with him.
Well, by the way, it came down to heavyweight too, and that's with Buchanan getting a pin at the end. So 6 points in that tight of a duel was close.
Yeah, but people acted like Buchanan's. It still came down to heavyweight.
No, it did, but there's a big difference of it being. It was 16-16 heading into that match. No, it was 16-15 Nebraska heading into that match. That's with after Buchanan gets 6. That's a huge swing.
Yeah. But I thought it was going to be really interesting. I thought Harley could give Ben a scare, or I thought he could get rolled up. I wasn't exactly sure which one would happen. And Harley damn near had the first takedown. In fact, I thought he did have the takedown. And Angel Rivera called it and then blew it off, and it was a fluid exchange in there. It was like Harley had a takedown, and then Ben hit like sort of a switch action. They called it 3, then blew it off, then gave Ben 3. I thought it was a takedown in reversal. And, if you want to argue, I think you can argue that whether it was a takedown or not. Like, oh, that was definitely a takedown. Or, no, that wasn't a takedown and it shouldn't have been called a takedown. What I don't think you can argue is the mechanics and procedure there are just terrible, because when you say takedown, it changes what each guy does, right? And so I just don't. I hate those calls. You see it every couple, only a couple times a year, but I don't like it. But ultimately, I mean, it didn't matter. It mattered and it didn't matter. It could have changed the complexion of the match, maybe, but you had to feel like Ben was going to get the win, regardless. But Ben wins, seals a duel for Iowa 19-16 over Nebraska. Good fun duel. A lot of fireworks, especially in the second half.
Very fun duel.
And I have a note in here. It's always funny, and it came up yesterday. It came up yesterday with Virginia Tech and the GOAT follower, whose Twitter handle on Twitter, and a big wrestling fan. But he brought it up too. But I already had this note in here about Stephen Buchanan. Stephen Buchanan did not make my top 100 in my big board. And so back when Stephen Buchanan came out, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I only went to 100. And then had a bunch of honorable mention, where now I go 250 deep. And part of that is getting better at my craft. Part of it is, when I worked at Flow, I had to wear a lot of different hats, and now that I'm off of my own, like, I can drill down even more, and sort of I'm doing one thing. But Stephen Buchanan, if you want to say that kids are, you want to get it right? In a perfect world, when you look back at their careers, in a perfect world, the guy who scored the most NCAA points in his 4 years, I would have had number one. The guy who scored second most NCAA points in his career, I would have had number 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down, and that would be the goal. However, it's not reality. Kids get better, kids get worse, kids change, and like for me, it's the accuracy of my accuracy. The goal is to accurately capture what they are at the time, their senior year. And, it would be a little easier to say, okay, I have Carter Starachi 9, but he's going to Penn State, so I should make him like number 5 because he's probably going to do really good, right? Or like, I have this guy number 20, but he's going to a school they didn't really produce. So maybe I should make him like 35 because he probably ain't going to do good. No. The responsibility of me is to accurately rank where they are at the time. The responsibility of the school is to make them better, or at least make them hit that sort of projection, live up to that status. And so, it kind of looks, to me, it kind of looks bad that I didn't have Stephen Buchanan as a top 100 guy. Because he's been awesome. He's been amazingly productive across 3 different schools. And this season, his senior year, he's been amazing. But I stand by that ranking. If you look at his production back then, and if you looked at his skill set back then, I don't know that he was. I don't know that his results and what he did at the time screamed top 100 prospect. And like GOAT follower tweeted at me and tweeted at Virginia Tech and said, one thing, I'm looking back at your old big boards, and Virginia Tech took a guy outside of the top 10 in Caleb Henson, made him a national champ. Took another guy outside of the top 10, Mekhi Lewis, and made him a national champ. And I said, yeah, you know what? And they took another guy that I had honorable mention, again, back when it was only top 100, Jared Haught, and they put him in the finals. And there is an opportunity, and there's an opportunity to prove your mettle as a coaching staff and as a program, and there's an opportunity to have a letdown as a program and a coaching staff. And so Caleb Henson, they got the job done with him. Mekhi Lewis, they got the job done with him. I guess that's all to say. People can improve and devolve. It's not,
Did I see too that you were putting out like the last 10 years of stuff? That's super cool.
I put out the last 10 years of recruiting analysis.
Yeah.
And like what Penn State's average recruiting class has been ranked, what Iowa's average recruiting class has been ranked, the top 20 highest average recruiting classes, and what they all were per year. And I put up the last 5 big boards, and because last week everybody was, recruiting stuff with Bo and Drayshawn and Jax all committing. Everybody was buzzing about recruiting stuff, so I put up some historical stuff. But
yeah, well, it's funny because Bashad is always asking. Bashad is always asking, like, what was this guy in the big board? Like, he's very much like a analytical guy after the fact, and so it's funny that after I see him asking you for these, going back and like now seeing, I love seeing, because I like seeing it too. Somebody was like, when was the last time Penn State didn't have top 5 in the big board? And I went back into your rankings, and I'm just like, 2 years ago? It's like, it's good to have that stuff easily out there.
Yeah. The one that sticks in my craw is Mitchell Mesenbrink. And my evaluation with him, I think I had him 63, which looks really stupid and really ugly. And you can go through all the guys and all the big boards and say, okay, like, most of them make sense. And then get to Mitchell Mesenbrink, and it's like 60 something. Like, what were you smoking, Willie? No, like Mitchell was like 5th to blood round in every tournament. And the raw skills were there, and the kind of IQ, he would do some weird stuff, and that was there. And I knew he came from his father was a great coach, and he was coached with, by Ben. He trained with Ben, and so I knew that there was maybe some upside there. But he also was a hothead. He would get in scuffles all the time. He'd get penalty points against him. I'm serious.
Knowing how he wrestles, you can see that would just if you were to say he used to do this, and you can see it.
I've seen him get penalty points several times. Go back and watch I don't know what year it was. Go back and watch the Conti match between him and Panero Johnson at Super 32, right? And so I thought, dude, this could go one of two ways. He could bottle this up and be really good because he's really wrestles pissed off and he's hungry and he wants it, or he'll totally implode. He could totally just say F this and get in fights all the time. So I didn't know what to make of him. And his results were good, not great. And then it was that summer. It was, I did the final big board with Mitchell and had him 60-something in April. And then he goes to the U.S. Open, and he goes in the summer, and he transformed. And so, I try to get it right at the time, and people are allowed to improve, and people do certainly get worse.
Somebody had tweeted
that was a long way of saying. That was a long way of saying, hat tip to Stephen Buchanan, man, because he has really done it, and he's done it at a lot of places, and he wasn't. I mean, look, he lost to 3 unranked guys his senior year at preseason or folk style nationals. He went like 5-4 at national duels in freestyle. I mean, this was not a guy that screamed 4-time All-American, you know, number 1 in the country. And so, as much as I love getting it right, I love seeing guys develop. Probably more so than being right, because really, the frequency. Now you could argue about order, and this guy was 7th, and this guy was 12th, but the 12th outproduced the 7. But generally speaking, the ones I have ranked top 20 do the damn thing. I like seeing the Stephen Buchanans, the Matt Ramoses, the Ryan Deacon. Ryan Deacon, I had 93, and just had a fantastic career. But
should we do a whole show just going through like 10-year-old big boards? Maybe like in the summer.
Mm-hmm. I just got I did junior high rankings the other day, last week, and I listed this kid as Lake Highland Prep. He won Super 32. He won Tulsa Nationals, and I get an email from Fox Baldwin. He's from this kid's from Florida, the kid that won. And I listed him as Lake Highland Prep, and I get an email from Fox Baldwin. And it says, "Hey Willie, long time no see. I just wanted to let you know that this kid I train in your junior high rankings, you have him listed as Lake Highland, and he might go there, but right now he's at this school." And I'm like, Fox Baldwin. I mean, nobody. If you didn't pay attention to high school wrestling 10 years ago, you don't know who Fox Baldwin is. But,
yeah, I have no clue who he is.
Dude, Fox Baldwin was damn near as good as a prospect gets. The kid could ride for days. He was funky. When funky really just started happening in high school, he was big, he's strong. I think he won 6 titles. I think he won high school state tournament when he was in 7th grade, or maybe he might have won 7. He might have won it in 6th grade in Florida. I mean, he was good. He beat Alex Marinelli in Super 32 finals. I mean, this kid was good. And he went to UVA and just vanished. I had him like 4. Let me tell you exactly where I had him. This is how good Fox Baldwin was.
And then we're going to get on with the rest and wrap up the weekend recap.
I'm working out right now.
We're talking Fox Baldwin.
Fox Baldwin. I had Fox Baldwin, number 6 in the class of 2015. You want to know who he was? Want me to run it down? 1, Zahida Valencia. 2, Anthony Valencia. 3, Vincenzo Joseph. 4, Logan Massa. 5, Miles Martin. 6, Fox Baldwin. 7, JoJo Smith. 8, Matt Kolodzik. 9, Michael Kemmerer. 10, Cade Brock. That's how good Fox Baldwin was. But I digress. I'm nerding out here a little bit.
All right, let's get back. Let's finish this weekend recap.
All right, the rest of Friday. Ohio over Kent State. No Peyton Keller. Jordan Greer with the pin. I like Jordan Greer a lot. I think he might be one of those guys that causes some damage, like unforeseen upset down the road here. Virginia over Duke. Utah Valley over Air Force. Lehigh over Bucknell. No Ryan Crookham. Matty Lopes. Keep an eye on him. They were hoping to get him down to 25, and they tinkered with it a little bit, but now obviously if Crookham comes back, Lopes is going to redshirt. But I'm saying going forward, whether he gets in at 25 next year or Crookham moves up or whatever the case, Matty Lopes, keep an eye on him. Good win over Kurt Phipps. Beard over Bechtold, a good young freshman for Bucknell. Dylan Bechtold, Owen Treffin wins. Northwestern over Michigan State. Rutgers over Maryland by a point, 21-20. Dean Peterson wins. Braxton Brown over Dylan Shawver. People gotta put a little respect on Braxton Brown's name because he's wrestling really well. What do I have? He's going to be the 3 seed at Big Ten. It's going to be Drake, Lucas Bird, Braxton Brown, for sure. That's pretty much carved in stone. So Braxton Brown with another good win over Dylan Shaver. Joey Olivieri wins. Andy Clark beat Cal Miller. Ethan Miller over Harrer. Branson John, true freshman, over Jackson Turley. It's another name to keep in your back pocket going forward. Maybe not this year, but next year. North Carolina beat Pitt in another good duel. 1-pointer, 17-16. North Carolina getting the tight ones in the beginning that they really needed to get. They needed Spencer Moore over Babe, and they needed Jaden Scott over Centinniello, and they got him. But Nolan Neves, here's a one. Nolan Neves beat Dayton Pitzer 14-9. That was the shocker that gave him the duel. Also, shout out to Max Stout. He's having a really good year. He only has 2 losses on the year. I think one was to Beard, but Max Stout is going to be a sneaky, sneaky guy come NCAA time. Oregon State over Cal Poly, another Ethan Styles joint. 4-2 over Chance Lamer. It's like his third.
Max Stout lost to Beard and Bronigal, but that was both back in November. So he definitely.
Yeah, he's looked really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Styles over Lamer. What else? Oh, Munoz wrestled? I'm just realizing that now.
I love that part of this. Part of the show is just box score Willie, as Fellers calls him, going through the scores and just commenting on what he. I like it. I like just kind of getting caught up on some of this stuff. Dude,
I didn't realize Trey Munoz wrestled. I mean, they were talking about maybe a medical on him. That's interesting. Tech 30-13 over Stanford. Where in the world is Nico Provo? No one knows. Connor McGonigal beats Tyler Knox in a match that went to overtime. 0-0. You don't see that often. No. 0-0 goes to overtime. A little scrambly around. McGonigal gets it. This was an all camo duel. I don't know if you could really even see it out there. Yeah. Both teams were wearing camo singlets. Latona won. Henson over Abbas by Tech. No Hippolito. Garvin beat Church. Wolak beat Guffey. No Lorenzo Norman. Stewart beat Montero 14-3. Maybe TJ got his groove back. Let's see. Nick Stemmet over Andy Smith. Big result there. Jimmy Mullen with the pin. South Dakota State beat Northern Colorado. Andrew O'Leary is with a major over Julian Tagg. Iowa State beat Arizona State 26-15. And I think the spread there was 17.5, by the way, which it was a really weird duel. 26-15. Arizona State covers, but they only won.
They had 2 pins.
They won 3 bouts and still covered. Yep.
Sorry. No, they did not. Never mind. I was thinking.
Figs pin, Perryman, no Terrakina still.
Arizona State had two pins. Yeah.
Pinero beat Vasquez. Falsic pin Pearson Manville, who made his college debut. Schultz beat Herrera. Hey, what do you make of Echemendia's social media post? First he put out wrestling's been so great to me, and then he said he was in the hospital. But then somebody said, "Are you retiring?" And he replied, "Did I say I'm retiring?" So I don't know. There's almost these vibes like he's either done or he's going to transfer. But I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I don't know. They're interesting.
Yeah, it's tough to make. Sometimes when these wrestlers get injured, I honestly think that there's both their thought process changes, I think. I think sometimes they post stuff and then they delete it, and it's I don't know. It's tough to read on the surface. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I wouldn't think as much about it if He walked off the mat at NCAAs last year and was happy and he was thrilled and he All-American, but he was adamant and like as soon as a mic got in his face, he was like, "Hey Anthony, how's it going?" He's like, "I'm going 49 next year," and we were like, "All right," So he's adamant about moving up in weight, but then they tried to get him back down, and I thought it was the right move to try to get him back down. I don't know. It's interesting. And then now Jacob Frost emerges, and Jacob Frost is looking really good. Minnesota Ohio State, really fun duel as well, 20-17. A really weird weekend from Brandon McCrowan, who beats Cooper Flynn 9-0, but then loses Sunday to Jacob Moran of Indiana. So McCrone wins. Davino is in for Buzakis. He beats Wells Mendez over Vombauer in a 6-5 match where Vombauer was really putting the pace on, right? Vombauer was threatened. I mean, look, he almost – Feller's got a little ahead of himself and was like – in text, he's watching it live and he's like, "Oh my God, Vombauer just won." And he got a little ahead of himself because it looked like a takedown was imminent and it didn't happen. But a little scare there from Mendez. What do you think about that,
close
Matt?
one.
Yeah, it's a close one. D'Amelio over Roberts. Askey over Cannon. No Sammy Sasso. Andrew Sparks wins. Karchla over Whiting. Karchla's looked great. Karchla looked really good. And you got to really feel for Karchla and kind of like root for him a little bit because he's had a really tough time with injuries, and he looks great now. Mickinelli over Rogotsky 15-5. Salazar beat Shoemate and OT. Stevenson beat Feldman. It's like this Spencer Lee type thing where it's like, man, Spencer Lee looked vulnerable. What was the score? Well, he tacked him. Gable Stevenson gets a major over a fellow All-American, 13-4, and it's like, well, man, Gable didn't look so hot. I don't know. He looked like he was sucking wind a little bit, but
yeah, he was upset about something after the match. He kind of sat on the side of the stage, like on the steps. But I didn't make much of it. You never know. It could be some frustration from a technique. It could be whatever. You never know, something like that. But it is funny. He definitely has the Spencer treatment where, like, he's such a favorite that if anybody even thinks they see a weakness to point out somewhere, it's like, ooh.
Yeah. Penn State over Michigan, 39-0, gave up 0 takedowns in the entire duel. Pretty incredible. Especially considering they had a backup at 33, and Josh Barr beating a top 3 guy in Jacob Cardenas. It was an overtime match with Cardenas. Pretty much had it won. All he had to do was give up an escape, ride or give up an escape. But Barr got a reversal. So Barr beats Jacob Cardenas. Another big win for Josh Barr, who stinks. Kirkfleet over Heinzelman 6-0.
I love the running bit of you saying he stinks, and then I post a FaceTime picture.
I wouldn't. The thing is, though, like, I would never say that about anybody that he knows I'm kidding, right?
Correct. And there's the context of if you listen to this podcast and you've heard it, like, the back and forth for the last 4 months now, 5 months, whatever it's been, like, know the backstory.
Yeah. Purdue over Wisconsin. Ramos beat Rivera. Fugit beat Dustin Norris. Okay, that's it for Friday. Saturday, Cornell beat Princeton. No Brett Unger at 25 yet. Also, Tyler Ferreira beat Danny Jones. Tyler Ferreira, he's, Unger is reportedly going to 25, which means Tyler Ferreira is now the starter at 33. And I'm not saying Tyler Ferreira is going to win a national title this year, but he's an interesting cat. I'm interested to see how his season goes. Oklahoma State over Little Rock, 25-13. Nasir Bailey majored Reese Whitcraft. And Jordan Williams beat Carter Young, former teammate Carter Young, 3-2 in overtime. Matt Bianchi pinned him down. He pinned Caleb Fish. Cam Amina winner. Dean Hamidia winner. Luke Serber beat Stephen Little 5-4. So, interesting results. You know, Little Rock was a riding. Serber won on a riding time point. Little Rock was a riding time point away from taking 4 of 10. I mean, a 6-4 split. Little Rock, Oklahoma State. That's pretty impressive. Lockhaven beat Clarion. Fall from Gavin Hoffman, player coach. Northern Iowa over North Dakota State. Wyoming over West Virginia, 19-18. Big win there was the big thing there was Cole Brooks pinning Jordan Titus. That's it for Saturday. Sunday, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot going on.
No.
Penn State beat Maryland. The broadcasting was awesome. The biggest story here was Kasich, Ethan Miller are wrestling, and Kasich had like a head wrap on, and they sort of hit heads, but like not like solidly, like kind of like just like glancing, and it really affects Kasich, and then it happens again, and they just stop it. Kasich can't continue, and what do we know? What do we know, Bash? What do you think the situation is?
He's in concussion protocol. I mean, that's I believe he had a concussion or something. I can't remember 100%. I have to go back and watch it. If I remember correctly, he had an issue on Friday night. And so he banged up his head against Teamer. So he's kind of like back-to-back like head injuries now, which makes me a bit nervous.
So maybe everybody seems to think it's a concussion thing. I mean, do we know that definitively? Is it a concussion thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe Jeff Byers announced yesterday that he is in concussion protocol. And that's why they stopped the match to do concussion protocol. They stopped it for however long, and then they decided, yeah, he's not coming back. So they did like the immediate concussion protocol to the degree where, hey, he's not going to wrestle the rest of the match. What happens from here, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Because it was like, they were kind of like glancing blows, and I know why. I had it on mute. I had it on mute, and I didn't know entirely what was going on, but it didn't look like bang, like heads like bang, and you get your bell rung. It kind of looked like maybe he was dinged up on his eye, and he hit on the side. I wasn't entirely sure what was going on. Let's hope Kasich's able to get back. Cornell beat Penn. Still no Unger. Gallagher beat Milani. Meyer over Jude. Simon Ruiz, a good win, 4-3 over Nico Incontrero. Wisconsin beat Michigan State. Minnesota beat Purdue. No Ramos in that one. Flynn beat Isaiah Quintero, who is in red shirt.
Very cool that Gable had John Jones in attendance in the front row for that duel. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Ohio State beat Indiana 27-13. Moran over Macron. Reaney beat Bouzakis. Reaney having quietly a pretty good season. Again, it was Brandon Cannon. No Sammy Sasso for Ohio State at 57. Yep. And then Iowa State 23-14 over Pittsburgh. Still no Terrakina. Not much going on there. Air Force over Bakersfield. No AJ in that one.
I don't know if this is true. I think I read somewhere that every Iowa State wrestler yesterday was a redshirt sophomore. Can you fact check that?
Let me look. Iowa State. Perryman's a sophomore. Frost is a sophomore. Panero. Panero's thing is weird. I don't know. But maybe. Yeah. Yeah, he could be a sophomore. Fusick might be a freshman. He might be a sophomore. I don't know.
Panero is a redshirt sophomore according to WrestleStat.
Okay. Riggins, that sounds about right. Gatan's a sophomore. Helgeson, I'm not sure. Scon is probably a sophomore. Herrera's a freshman. 100%.
So maybe that was the one outlier.
Wow, that's interesting, huh?
Yeah, I saw that tweet in passing, and I'm just now thinking about it. It's funny how that works. We're just literally as I'm looking at the lineup, and I remembered that.
Well, that's it. That was the week. I'm gonna try to get out. I have a flight tomorrow, flying back home to Idaho. Provided we don't get hit with snow and there's delays. How about a flight at 6 a.m. to Atlanta to Spokane, noon. I get home at noon. It's glorious.
Yeah, I got here at noon. It's now 2:00. I need to go eat some lunch, but
what do we got on
good
tap?
when you can get your travel done in the morning.
What do we got on tap this week, JB?
I haven't even looked at next weekend yet.
I can tell you.
Do we need to do a weekend preview later in the week? That's what I need to know.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we do like a weekend preview / Big Ten seed projection show?
Yeah, that would work.
We got Penn State, Ohio State. I'm only looking at what's Big Ten right now. Penn State, Ohio State, Iowa, Minnesota. That's Gabe Arnold, Mickinelli, Cooper Flynn.
Can Minnesota win that?
I don't think.
I wonder what does WrestleStat have to do?
Man, Flynn could win.
15-15 on WrestleStat. Ooh.
Yeah, at first I thought you were crazy, but the matchups, Flynn would need to win. Von Bauer will win. That would be 2. Askey against Estrada if Teamer isn't back. Mickinelli Arnold is a winnable match, and Gable. They could win now.
Yeah, WrestleStat. The one thing they definitely have wrong is Salazar is not beating Buchanan. I don't know what that logic is, but
so that means that they have like Cruz over Flynn.
They have Flynn over Cruz, Ayala over Wells, Vombar over Block, Parco over Roberts, Teamer over Askey, Caliendo over Sparks, Kennedy over Whiting, McAnally over Arnold, Salazar over Buchanan, Gable over Keeter.
Yeah.
We'll have to dive into that duel.
They gave Teamer a win, and he might not be wrestling.
But they also gave Salazar the win over Buchanan.
Right, so that makes sense. Man, it could be a really good duel. I don't know. The bummer would be if they start at 25 and Cruz wins. It's like, okay, now there's probably no shot. Unless
that'll be a fun one.
Unless Whiting could beat Kennedy. Again, I wouldn't pick it. I root for close duels. I'm not rooting against.
By the way, this also has Gable beating Keeter by a decision, and Gable is a wild card when it comes to team points because it's more unlikely for him to have a decision. I don't care who he's wrestling; he can pin somebody even if it's a close match and he pins him late. Like, and in a close duel like this, that could be huge.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if WrestleStat, their prediction model, like whatever the algorithm formula that they put in for,
I wonder what the line's going to be for this duel.
I wonder if they changed the formula because now it's a 3-point takedown, and for a guy like Gable, that's significant.
Yeah.
All right, let's get together Wednesday, Thursday, something, one of those days. Preview show and Big Ten seed projections.
Yeah, I'm down. And by the way, just because we do complain, I will also give praise. Shout out to all the supporters. A lot of times the noise is very loud for negativity, and I said that earlier. A lot of times the praise isn't nearly as loud. But we do have a lot of loyal listeners, a lot of avid supporters, so grateful for that.
Athletic supporters. What did you send me this morning? You sent me some kind of offer for boxer briefs? What we were talking about?
Yeah, I got an email for an NIL deal. Not NIL, just a brand ambassador deal. And let me see. I don't want to misspeak here. And we can't give the brand. I don't want to give them a shout out.
Not until we have our NIL deal signed. You can't tell.
Right.
You can't.
Where is it? I thought I texted it. Did I not?
Let's go. We're gonna sign.
Oh, here it is. It's we're not going to say what the brand are, but they're a global slow fashion brand specializing in intimate apparel.
See, they lost me immediately with the slow fashion. What's that mean?
And they're pleased to offer their best-selling men's boxer briefs available in 3-inch or 5-inch or 5-inch.
Listen, what that got me too. 3-inch or 5-inch?
You know the video of you and fellas where you're like, that's what reading this email. It's like, so hey, you never know. Do we got to wear them on the show?
I'm not wearing 3 or 5-inch boxer briefs on the show, but I get.
Are you wearing them outside?
No, I don't wear it. Let's not get into that. Goodbye.
All right, that's today's show.
See you Wednesday.
Shout out Josh Allen, MVP. Go Bills.